afternoon. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC in Christ Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. We also have a podcast now, and I'm really excited about that. Let me go ahead and give you the website. That's netnewsnetwork.net. There's a lot of net in there, isn't it? So, but anyway, you can find us that way as well. I have Chris Peak with me right now. And Chris, you know, I'm a huge cheerleader for Northeast Alabama Community College. I'm all about it.
And we appreciate it.
Oh, man, we are so proud of you guys and everything you do. And Chris is just one of the many awesome instructors out there. You guys really care about the students. Let's talk about what you do at Northeast.
Oh, we do. We care a lot about the students. I think it's important to us as just not a single instructor over our CDL program, but as a college, as a rule, our leader, Dr. Campbell, kind of sets the stage for community outreach, that the college is a part of the community. We want to be a part of the community. We want to affect change in the community, help those looking to better their education, learn more, find a better job, anything we can do in that way.
And you guys are, and there's so many ways you help the student. Not only, and by the way, your experiences as a truck driver, so that speaks volumes right there.
Yeah, so I have been trucking since my 20s. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for a good 25, 30 years, I've been in the trucking business on both sides of it, and I've got to travel the country. I got to see how this country actually operates because of the truck driver. It's really significant. The truck driver plays a significant role in the daily operations of how our country runs.
It does. And without truck drivers, I mean, we wouldn't have the products we need. I mean, it's just that plain and simple.
Well, it boils down. We wouldn't have the clothes we have on. we wouldn't have the food that we eat today if it weren't for the truck drivers.
What are some of the misconceptions about commercial driving?
Well, I think typically just in a daily driving scenario, we're trying to get from point A to point B. So we're seen to be in the way when we're coming through local communities. And we get that. We get that, the local communities are on their way to Walmart or on their way to McDonald's to get an ice cream or whatever it may be. And we're just trying to get through the city. And maybe we can be a little aggressive in that driving scenario sometimes, but we're not sightseeing. We're actually at work during that day, and we're trying to get from point A to point B. Education-wise, it doesn't require a college education or anything. So typically, they're kind of looked at as not the brightest people, but that is not true.
I have met
some of the sharpest people out on the road, some of the friendliest, some of the most caring people that are concerned or willing to stop and help. Of course, I've met highly educated. I've met guys that are retired doctors, Air Force pilots, all sorts of different lives that people have took and have decided to go into trucking.
You know something? I know of people who are retirees, and like you said, high professional jobs, and they find this as a couple, a husband and wife, it's a great way to travel.
It's a great way for not just retirees. I know a lot of young couples that will go out, spend several years on the road, put their money back, come back to their community wherever they want to live, buy a home with the money that they saved as a couple living in a truck. I
think that's smart.
I think that's awesome. I think that's a really smart thing for the younger couples that not sure what they're wanting to do right now. You can get in a truck, spend a few years on the road, make quite a bit of money, and save that money and come back and buy a home.
I think that's really smart because think about the interest. You can pay cash for a house. Think of the interest you're not paying. My son and daughter-in-law did something kind of like that. And so they wound up paying cash, having a house. That didn't pay cash for the house, but they wound up having, off of a 30-year note, they had a goal set of having the house paid off in 10 years before their 10th wedding anniversary. And they did it. So they put the numbers together. My son's a numbers person. So he put the numbers together and he said, Mom, we saved way over $100,000 just on interest.
Absolutely. I mean, that's pretty smart.
Mm-hmm.
That's real smart to do. You mentioned retirees. I've seen a lot of people, and I'm seeing them come through our program that I've had some grandmothers that have decided, you know what, I've been retired long enough. I don't want to sit around the house no more. They got their CDLs and they're out truck driving, making a nice living, enjoying themselves, seeing the country. My parents are retired now, but my mother and father traveled together. They traveled all over the country truck driving.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've took my wife and my kids. I had took them all over the country. So yeah, it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, and I want to get into the education part of it, but I would like to, because I'm driving around most of the day. Okay. Right. And I see so many things people don't understand about truck drivers. Okay. I have seen people, there's a blind spot. And I've seen people, and I want to just like honk my horn and say, quit driving like that close to that trucker. He can't see you. And then I've seen them like run and just pass a trucker. A trucker can't stop on a dime.
That's correct. That's right. It is. It's
causing accidents.
I think it would be a wonderful ideal if people, and I've had most every student that come through this program that had no experience or no family in trucking. Mm-hmm. I tell them early on in the first few days, listen, after you've been in this truck a little while, you'll start driving your car differently. But you see how that affects us. Whether we can't stop on a dime. We need to know in advance if you're going to turn into Walmart or McDonald's. It helps us a lot for you to give us that heads up that you're going to do that. But yeah, you're right. We can't stop real quickly. Another thing that really affects us is at red lights and stop signs. You got the little white line we're all supposed to stop at. Mm-hmm. And a lot of cars don't do that. They go at least a car length past it. Well, if I got to turn there, I need a lot of room to make that turn. Mm-hmm. And I can't make those turns. If you've run past that white line, a lot of times I can't make that turn. And if people would just be thoughtful of those kind of things, it would be easier for us as we're working our day.
Absolutely. Now, there are different positions available. Okay, so if you want to kind of hang around home, be close to your mama and stuff like that, you can do that. Yes. And if you want to kind of venture out just a little bit, you can go regional. You can also go national.
Absolutely. So we have access to, local companies that will have you home every night. Mm-hmm. If being out on the road, some of us are married and got kids and traveling, maybe they're younger kids and traveling just ain't an option for us right now. We've got lots of local opportunities. Regional, we can keep you in the Southeast. We can keep you Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, kind of in that area. Mm-hmm. Or if you want to just hit the road, which I encourage some of these younger students that come through our program, go out for 6 months. See what this country's about. It's huge. It's pretty incredible. If you've never had the opportunity to go out west, it's a beautiful country. Whether it's the desert or the Northwest and the mountains, it's beautiful. I've been there many, many times, and I still feel like a kid going there. I get excited every time I go because it's just beautiful. And if you get a chance, we have those opportunities to get you on what they would call over-the-road truck driving.
Now, what are the accommodations? So if you want to say sleep in your truck, that's okay, right?
Absolutely. Most trucks now are fitted with refrigerators. They have at least one bed. Some of them have bunk beds. They've really fancied them up these days. You got access for the younger folks. They can you can mount a TV. And these guys take their Xboxes or their PlayStations and they play their video games while they're sitting in their truck in the evenings. Yeah, they're pretty nice. They got workstations. Some of them are where the sleeper area is actually a workstation with a table and a chair, and then all that converts into a bed when you're ready to go to bed at night. So it's
That's
pretty
smart.
fancy. It is smart.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's some good news. Okay, hey, Phil.
Yeah,
So now my husband's going to say, now what do you want to do?
Yeah.
But that would be a great educational tool for the kids too. Are there restrictions if you take your kids with you on the trip?
Well, a lot of companies require an age restriction, so you have to have what's called a rider policy. It's just an insurance policy that covers you and who's riding with you. There are some age restrictions, but it varies from company to company. I've leased. I was always an owner operator, so I own my own truck. I still were required to have a rider policy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my rider policy would cover anybody from 0 to 80.
Mm-hmm.
So I took my kids a lot. They've been all over the country, and it was fun for them. It was fun for me too.
Now, what's the difference between owning your own rig and then working for somebody? What would be the big difference?
I'd say it's not much different than anybody that is self-employed. You get to work your own hours. I tend to joke that I wasn't a very good boss. I let myself off way too much. But yeah, so an owner operator is just responsible for everything. You have to keep the maintenance up on the truck, the equipment, all your paperwork, lots of paperwork involved in trucking. Whereas a company driver, you're basically just driving someone else's truck. They're responsible for the tires, the fuel, the maintenance. If anything tears up, that it may cost you a little time out on the road because you're broke down, but you're not responsible for any of that expense.
Well, maybe just starting out, maybe work for somebody first, just to make sure that that's what you want to do.
Absolutely. That's what I tell these students, these younger ones especially, that not sure which way they want to go. Go out there and do you a year and be a company driver. We have some really big national companies that own 20,000 trucks that we could get you a job with pretty quick. And yeah, just go out there and ride with them for a year. Learn trucking. If you're interested in becoming an owner operator, owning your own trucks, that's great because you can do that. But go out there and learn the business first. Make certain that's what you want to do. Because, I mean, honestly, it's just like anything else. Trucking's not for everyone. Mm-hmm. Being gone, being away from home, over the road, you know, it takes some commitment. It takes some understanding and agreement in a family situation that, hey, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to be gone, some ball games and some birthdays and things like that. And so it really takes some work to make that happen.
I could say this being a really good thing too for a family if you homeschool. I mean,
I've seen lots of families. It's always been interesting to me. Of course, I've took my kids, only took one at a time when I went, but I've seen couples get out of trucks with really small kids and not just one. I've seen them actually get out carrying a baby carriage. Uh-huh. And so they're actually living in these trucks, and you're right, they're homeschooling their kids. And yeah, that option's pretty available these days.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to do that. Think about the education your kid is going to get that no other kid's going to get.
Absolutely. I can remember my kids taking them to Maine or taking them up to Washington State, you know, during the summer. That was a neat story they had that they could go back and tell their friends, you know, that they seen this. There was just different experiences of seeing the wildlife.
I saw the Grand Canyon, and let me tell you about that. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's really fascinating to get out there and see what's available, and what better way to do it and get paid while you're doing it.
Well, and I also thought about this, you know, because of COVID, my studio is actually on the farm. My husband had a studio built for me, which is pretty cool. But think about this. If you have a spouse who actually works out of their home, as long as they've got good internet, they could go with you on the job. You know, maybe you're a data entry person or whatever. Well, you know,
you're seeing that a lot in people buying RVs and live in RVs and working out of those. And lots of truck drivers do that their spouses will go with them. And like you said, they can work remote.
You're working remote anyway.
It doesn't matter. Their job allows that remote.
Uh-huh. Let's go on ahead and cut into a commercial break. We do this every single time, Chris. We're just a little bit behind the commercial break. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. But let's talk about the different state laws. I'm sure there are many different ones as you travel through states. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and my employees and I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support. With everything going on right now, your rest is so important. That's why we're having the biggest MyPillow sale ever. Not only are my bed pillows as low as $19.98, but you can get the best body pillows ever. Regular $89.98, now only $29.98. Take your rest on the go with our Roll and Go Anywhere MyPillows for only $14.98. And we have our new couch and accent pillows. They aren't just for looks. They have MyPillow's patented adjustable fill that gives you that amazing MyPillow comfort. In this economy, you get the best gifts ever for the best prices ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you get deep discounts on body, couch, bolster pillows, and so much more, including my original bed pillows for as low as $19.98. Please order now while quantities last.
Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Which is found on Roku and Amazon Fire. Thank you so much for watching. We know you could be doing anything else, but you're watching a very interesting show right now with Chris Peak, and he is with Northeast Alabama Community College. We're talking about truck driving, and we're going to get a little bit more into the studies part of it, but I did have a question about state laws. do you really kind of need to be up on the state laws, and do you guys also teach that? I would think going state to state could be a little different.
It can be. There's not a real significant difference from state to state. You'll certainly run into speed limits. You get out west in the desert and, you can run 75 to 85 miles an hour. It's a legal speed limit out there.
Mm-hmm.
You get out in California, for truckers, the speed limit's 55. So yeah, you definitely need to be aware of speed limits. That's one thing we really teach in here. Is one of the first things I teach the student is you have to pay attention to signs. As a truck driver, there's restricted places, that lightweight bridges, low passes that we can't go under. Of course, speed limit signs would be one significant. You get into big cities, there's truck route restrictions that you really got to pay attention to. But as far as trucking in general, it's mostly federally regulated. So the laws are pretty much the same across the board, except for some basic local things as far as speed limits and those kind of things go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Chris Peak is with us right now. And Chris is a friend of the show. He's been on several times. It's always good to have you. Let's talk about, because Northeast Alabama Community College, and we've mentioned this in the earlier part of the show, their instructors really do care about the students. And it doesn't matter the age. I mean, you can go to high school and take a few courses, get that certificate, which can mean a lot of money for you. Have no college debt. You can always go back to college, though. Are there some cases where the employer will reimburse if you go back and get a degree?
Yes, absolutely. I know in our instances, we have companies that will actually reimburse you for the price of the program. Mm-hmm. You go to work for them, work a period of time, and as you work that time, that they reimburse you for the payment you were out for the cost of the program. So, and I know they do that across the board in the different programs. We have several state grants that are available, workforce grants that are available through the state, that will get you through these workforce development type programs that we have at Northeast. Certainly apply here at the CDL program. So yeah, we have a lot to offer, a lot of opportunity, I think, and I hope the folks that are hearing this, or maybe know a friend that had thought about going to school, there's a lot of money available. Grants, loans, different things available to get you through these programs if you want to do it. So you definitely need to check into that, because it is available. I
got to tell you what, another thing I love about trade jobs. Now, my dad was a trade, he was welding and all this kind of stuff. And anytime he got in with a company, he moved up the ranks like really fast.
Right.
He actually started at the Mueller Company. Before there was a Mueller Company, they had a trailer that they were working out of. So he was like one of the first employees they hired. Then later he goes to National Aluminum, which is Gypsum now, I think, something like they changed the name of it. And the guy was actually working on blueprints. And this is how ambitious you can be and make good money and not be in debt. So they were working out of a trade. He thought he was going to retire is what happened. Well, he couldn't retire. So he sees Werner Company, and this is in Oxford, Alabama on Highway 78. And that's where I'm from as well. And so this guy was actually working out of a trailer kind of a thing, and he was looking at the blueprints. They hadn't even built the building yet. Right. And so he just walks in and he says, "I'm the person you want to hire." So the guy says, "Well, tell me how." And he's not being obnoxious or anything. He said, I've got the experience. I thought I wanted to retire. I don't want to retire. Right. They hired him like he was the first employee they hired, simply because he walked in, and people are even more hungry for employees now. So if you do just the right thing, you won't have to wait that long to get hired.
No, in our CDL program, I have trucking companies that will come in and speak to the students, of course. And if you finish the program on Friday, you can go to work Monday.
It's that simple.
And a lot of these companies, especially your over the road, even some of the local companies, they will pretty much guarantee you your first year in trucking around $60,000 a year.
Wow.
So we have a 4-week program. We have a theory portion of the program that will take you about a week, and then you'll spend 3 weeks in the truck with us behind the wheel training. So in 4 weeks, you can go to work making $60,000 your first year, and absolutely move up if you ever. I've got friends now that own several trucks. 15. They started out with one. They'll own 15 or 20 now. So yeah, you can move up in this business as well. You can move from the other side of the steering wheel to the inside of the company, or you could kind of do like me, get your truck in, and here I am teaching, out of college. So there's lots of opportunities available if you'll put, like you said, put the effort forth and work towards something. You can do whatever you want.
Absolutely. I mean, there are no restrictions.
There are no restrictions whatsoever.
Now, are there background checks done? I would think so on folks before they get out on the road.
Well, especially, so for us, we have some pre-course requirements. We need an MVR. We need your driving record. We're going to be getting into a big 18-wheeler. You'll have to have a DOT physical to make sure that you're in, pretty good shape to drive a truck. Now, if you go into some of the endorsements like hazmat or hazardous material endorsements, you got to have a TSA background check. They do a pretty thorough background check there. We got to know we're putting safe people on the road hauling explosives or fuel or any of these kind of things. So, yeah, there are definitely some background checks. You get into some military, which I've done a lot of military loads. You go through the TSA with that and get some pretty thorough background checks for that as well. But typically, if you got a driver's license, get your commercial driver's license, get a DOT physical, drug test, we can put you in a truck and put you on the road.
There you go. Chris, can you believe this? About a minute and a half left in this whole segment. It flies by. It's always so much fun to talk with you guys. What would you like to tell the folks before we leave?
If you got any questions, you can get a hold of us at Northeast Alabama Community College. A good place to start is your local career centers. Go there, tell them we're interested in one of the workforce development programs, the CDL program. Tell them that. They will get the ball rolling and show you the available grants and money that may get you through the program without any cost.
Let me ask you one more question. We've got to hurry, less than a minute. So could I be a high school student, walk across the stage, get my degree, my graduation degree? Could I also graduate with a little bit of college behind me?
Absolutely. We got kids. It's fascinating to me. We have the dual enrollment. Absolutely. We have kids graduating high school and graduating Northeast with their associate's degree at the same time. And that's just fantastic. I have a real close friend that she is actually graduating college this month, and she was a dual enrollment student, and she done that. She had finished high school and Northeast at the same time. So yes, that's definitely available.
I can see the dollar signs in the parents' eyes because of
absolutely. I think you
definitely go check them out. Chris, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's always a pleasure. Anytime, okay?
Thank you, Donna.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for watching The Edge. My name is Donna. I am your host. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television. We are syndicated. You can find us on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And now you can find us on netnewsnetwork.net. And we appreciate everything you do. And every time you watch us, we definitely appreciate that. Again, thank you, Chris, for being on the show. You take care.
You're welcome. Thanks.
We'll be back in just a few minutes with another awesome guest.